My third guy plays some games. Alright, hi everybody, Weather Guy here. We are back with some more great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Time to check out the scene of the crime on this fourth crime. This lady got stabbed in the back. Here we go. So this is where it happened, Briar Road. Ah, look, Mr. Rio. Look at that regulation metal helmet, it's unmistakable. Oh, is this Scotland Yard people, I bet? Yeah. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. Oh, by the way, something interesting that I noticed. On the main menu screen, whenever you turn on the game, the background changes. When I turned it on today, the background was this scene here, which is pretty cool. I like that. But Mr. Rio, to see one with my own eyes? They're often depicted in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, but I never dreamt I'd ever come this close to a real Bobby's helmet. What? The helmet? Yeah, of course. I had to try on one day. Well, I hope your Hattie dreams come true. Oh, here's our buddy, Mr. Gregson. Our inspector who's helping us out. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson! This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been to the holding cells then? What'd you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. Doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Ah, the stone-cold air of rejection. Take heart, London at this time of year is full of stone-cold air. That makes it worse somehow. Alright, lots of stuff to do here. Let's talk to him first. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Oh, and you know I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes around and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? Yep. Raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit. I had no idea. The Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. Can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. Yeah, let's convert those miles to kilometers, huh? 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot, that's definitely taking things a step too far. Get it? When it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my! And I suppose in between all these duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well? And chase after criminals trying to evade the law! I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit. I'd always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Ryu. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. Lovely. Those helmets do look very uncomfortable. I've never been a fan of helmets. Being a veteran, I had to wear helmets a good bit. It happened at around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement. Victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in the hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means I haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers defendant suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. Alright, let's look at this map. Anyway, as far as we know, there is no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. Alright, let's check out what our court records so far. We have the armband, we have our map. Let's look at this map. I'm assuming the red is where things went down on Briar Road. There's also Meerschaum Street. There's this Calabash Road. Then there's a side street that doesn't have a name on it. Anything else? There's all these buildings, and I guess these might be little alleys between the buildings. So theoretically, someone could have been in this alley here or something. Who knows? Okay. So who did it, do you think? Not much of a head scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone doesn't mean we can be sure that nobody else was present. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have two very reliable witnesses, no less. Ah! Alright, witnesses, let's go. It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There are witnesses now? Alright, let's hear about these witnesses. Let's go. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. Ah! A policeman? That might change things. This policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked? Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a hobby. Catching them banging the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Oh, I've no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems. A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Oh yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Is it something I said? The color has drained from his cheeks. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was a result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Fiddle faddle. Huh? The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mugger everywhere. Oh, I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble. Huh? Ever seen this before? Oh, yes, that's Rance Magazine. The wonderful publication in which the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes appears. Yes, well, that's wonderful publication, as you put it, sees it fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called Great Detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in the Herlock Sholmes to be included in any Herlock Sholmes tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be fronted by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all of our criminals. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship. Alright, tomorrow's trial. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It is all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper, he hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. The only people he usually bothers with are the real scum. The master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right. He handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsumi wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely. That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's gotta be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself, at tomorrow's trial. Are you really gonna have to face the Reaper again? Lord of Darkness, as he put it? Yeah, it's gonna be tough. He's a tough cookie to crack. I'm really curious about why he's come back, because Mr. McGill did, he came back for that trial as well, and that didn't seem necessary either. It's interesting. Well, I don't think we're gonna get any more useful information out of the detective. Alright, now it's time. Oh no, not time. Mr. Ryu, can I make a suggestion? Oh, yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. What? By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet Mr. Holmes again. Trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even, so it's Baker Street. Oh, are we gonna go to Baker Street? 221 Baker Street? How do you know that? It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. Better try to find our way there before Susato gets any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage! Oh no, not a carriage. So we're to have a reunion already. With the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Alright, let's examine stuff first. Nothing interesting with the buildings. We can also look left and right. Or right, rather. Yeah, nothing with the buildings. Snowman. Let's look at the snowman. Hee hee. What a delightful snowman! I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. Looks a little creepy, though. Oh, it has a scarf! Look! You need one if you're out in this freezing cold all the time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment, too. We certainly can't afford a scarf. Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss his... But the person who made the snowman certainly would. Yes, I know. You're right. Anyway, even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. Alright, not useful. So I guess we're gonna look at the carriage. Oh, that's a Scotland Yard carriage. They use vehicles like that to rush to crime scenes and cart away criminals. You're very well informed, aren't you? It's long been a dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London. Well, just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows then. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it, wouldn't it? Still, if it's the only way, help me find a good stone. No, I wasn't serious. Okay. Pretty good, pretty good. Snowman. Guess we're gonna look at this. This patch of pavement must be where the incident occurred. Yes, it's a very wide open space, isn't it? That's true, I can't see anywhere an attacker could have been hiding. Oi, what are your foreigners doing here? Ah! Oh, just investigating the scene of conspiring with that mustache fella from Japan, are you? Conspiring? Come here to destroy evidence, are you? Get out of here before I give you an hiding. Alright. They shoot us away like rats. Yes, we should give him a wide berth, I think. What a disappointing experience. Alright, so we can't quite investigate the actual scene yet. That's sad. Scoot the camera. Oh, it scoots way over. There's a lot. Okay, let's talk to him first. That's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. I have a feeling that if we wander too close, we'll be clapped in irons. I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern. Oh no, I'm not getting caught out again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on. Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure it's that wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to. It does you no favors at all. Alright. This way, baby. What else we got? Strand Street. Strand Street. Let's look at the court record again. Which one's Strand Street? Not labeled. So this one must be Strand Street, I'm assuming. Okay. Oh. What's that? The clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? And with the dense fog as well, everything looks hazy. Well, it is known as Foggy London Town. I can just make out some sort of spire through the fog. It looks like it's still being built though. Aha, yes! That must be the Crystal Tower being built for the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. We really must be going to that exhibition. It keeps coming up. Apparently it's going to be very striking, glazed on all sides and the symbolic centerpiece of the exhibition. It's be the largest exhibition in history, isn't it? Can't even begin to imagine it. By the way, speaking of fog, I got a fun fact for y'all. Not really a fun fact, but do you know the difference between mist and fog? They are essentially the same thing. Fog is just a denser form of mist, but the way to tell, like the distinguishing point between the two, is fog is whenever your visibility, like how far you can see in front of you, a static light source like a lamp, like one of these street lamps. Fog is when that distance between you and the street lamp that you can see is less than a half mile. Anything greater than that, mist. So I think a lot of people call things fog when it's actually mist. You know what I mean? Because a half mile, that's a very short distance to not be able to see a light. So, that's your fun fact for the day. Oh, look at the windows of that building there. Are you sure they're windows? Yes, but they're all filled in with bricks. Oh, you're right. I wonder why. That is kind of weird, isn't it? Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives at the moment. There's smoke coming from the chimneys, though. Oh dear, everything still feels very foreign. There's so much we have to learn about this place. That's interesting. That's important, right? That means that we're missing witnesses because the windows are all boarded up, right? That's kind of interesting. Strand Street. Let's look at this. That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history. Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks indecidedly worse shaped than the other houses around here. We must find some cheap lodgings ourselves as soon as possible. Yes, you're right. Cheap, but ideally with reasonably level floors. Alright, so nothing too interesting. Bicycle, that's kind of interesting. Anything else we're going to be looking at? Doesn't seem like it. Oh, the ground here. Okay, let's look at the bike first. Oh, a British bicycle, look! Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. Seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. Bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off firm ground seems reckless. If you'd ever try walking on stilts and falling into a river, I know you'd agree with me. We'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around. Adorable. She's great. Let's look at the street. There are piles of snow on the pavement here and there, but the road itself is covered in carriage tracks. Seems carriages often travel down Briar Road. It soon disperses all the snow. I slipped over when I was walking down the pavement earlier. Seems like it would be far safer to walk on the road instead. Oh, but you're rather small, Mr. Ryu, and dressed all in black. I worry coachman might not see you and you could be flattened by horses. Well, thank you for the rather small concern. Oh man, she was ruthless. She's calling him a short king. Alright, that's it, I think. Do one more double check on this screen. Yeah, okay. Anything else to talk about? No, I think it's time to move. Time to go see Sholmes. 221B Baker Street. Dun-dun, dun-dun. Oh, we get an actual cutscene, sick.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day.
Good day.
Thanks again.
Wow, that's actually much lovelier than I was imagining.
The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Perfect. Y'all ever watch the show Sherlock on Netflix? Or whatever it's on now? Not too bad. Although, one of the big mistakes I made is I really loved the show. And then I watched this YouTuber named H Bomber Guy. He does video essays on various topics. He had one about why Sherlock sucks, that BBC show. And he made a lot of good points. I was like, oh man, this ruined the show for me. I shouldn't have watched this video essay. So that's my lesson takeaway for you. If you enjoy some piece of media and you see a video essay or documentary or something about why that movie sucks, don't watch it. Why would you do that? Why would you ruin something that you already enjoy? What's the point of that, you know? You don't need to get other people's validation or whatever about why you enjoy whatever media you enjoy. It's totally fine to just enjoy stuff. So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here somehow. Wow, it's just as messy as I imagined though. And it has the violin. Is it as described in the stories, Miss Sasato? Sasato? Oh, she's in love. Oh my god. Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. How did we get in here? Did he not let us in? I've never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Ryu? Oh, I suppose I can, yes. So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up that atmosphere for a while longer. Please don't mind me. She's obsessed. Alright, here we go. Well, looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anybody home? Oh, do we have a visitor? Who is this? Oh, interesting. She was at the end of the last case. She was the inventor who Gina stole her smoke gun thing from. Interesting. We never learned her name. Hello, it's a big new case from Mr. Sholmes. Hello? Wait. Aren't you... Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once. Oh boy. I'm sure it's the same girl. Yeah, she has pink hair. How many girls with pink hair? Mrs. Sato, did you see the girl who was just here? Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case. The King of Bohemia? King Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Ormstein, of course. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there. Tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. I cannot do different girl voices, by the way. They all sound the same. I'm so sorry. Ah, it's you! I knew it. Susato recognizes her too. That's right. I love getting these little flashbacks. It's nice. Like, if you take a significant break from the game, it's nice to have this to fall back on, you know? Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. No complaints. I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London. Oh, yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know. Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. I didn't even see them drink it. Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here. And you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. He knows a lot already. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you? Hurley? Mr. Sholmes to you, surely. Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas. Wait a minute. You met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think? Perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite? I can never get over Sasato's head tilt talk, dude. It's so good. Oh, silly me, I haven't introduced myself, have I? Here's the name. Let's hear it. Is this going to be Watson? Iris, okay. It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. It's Watson. I live here together with with Hurley. Ah, Iris, is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson? What's the matter with Sasato? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Ryu, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Ryu's judicial assistant, Sasato. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it. Oh, no. Susie and Runo? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her, I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. Alright, here we go. We have some dialogue options coming up. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey? Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. Though at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Oh, there it is. Like this. Oop. Ah, thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Ginny? Yeah, she's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly, so I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions. This girl is dangerous. Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that. so she could apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, you're a technician? Oh, who do we got now? Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together. I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Partners. Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year. Well, what of your mother and father? Oh no, they're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. She's a sad orphan. Let's talk about the name Wilson. Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Rance magazine? Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. Yeah, this is definitely a Watson stand-in. That's fine. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness! Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing out the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure the Speckled Band. Speckled Band, that's certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Oh, that's what Mr. Sholmes' first thought was as well, actually. Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... It's a story! Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? So, do you mean to say... Are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Rance magazine all written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. Sato's getting more and more worked up. Huh. Sorry, I got an email. I was trying to look at it real quick. Yes, that's me. I'll look at it after I'm done recording this one. It's fine. It's not that pressing. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine. No, at 10 years old? 10 years old? Well, that's quite incredible. But, Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh! Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow. Yeah. I suppose it does, yes. Poor Sasato, she looks like her whole world has just fallen apart. Alright, let's hear a little more. About before. Yes, what's on your mind, Bruno? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted, although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Oh, she's gonna do a deduction? Maybe. Iris Wilson's proud to present her logic and reasoning spectacular. Oh, buddy. Oh, nice. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Bruno. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's chamber. But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that? I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh, so I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Bailey, I walked right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. Ah! They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize... And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. This girl is really smart. But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me that he caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsume! Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion these facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. Wow, she is sharp as a tack. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. Wow, impressive. Pretty good. Better than Herlock Sholmes's. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. You even managed to certain something in Mr. Sholmes' delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really good news. You can tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please? Alright, let's hear some more. So, yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying. Yes? Hurley had just arrived back in London after a sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems. Apparently, a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking suit man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking suit man? Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt. Soken said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all, but it seems there were witnesses after all. Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room, very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking stooped man, sorry. Shivering in fear. Ah, Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time. Of course it did, he's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it? Definitely, we have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Oh, Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible! I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is. In that case, I don't hold out much hope for Soseki. Great. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene. The case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, Mr. Nuts. Oh, May. Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there? Yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Oh, goody. In that case, give Gregsy this from me, would ya? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. Iris's postcard has been entered into the court record. Very good. That'll help, probably, maybe. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem." Gosh, that will make the inspector help us, will it? Oh, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Good. Good luck, then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Alright. Do we investigate this room? Maybe. Well, Mr. Ryu, it's back to the scene of the crime. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. Alright. This is a lovely place to stop today. Next time we're going to return to the scene of the crime. Maybe we'll have a run-in with Mr. Herlock Sholmes, hopefully. We'll see. He's a lot of fun. It's cool meeting Iris properly, getting the info on her. But, sadly, I feel that we are no closer at all to solving this case. It seems like it's going to be quite difficult, but we'll see. Thank you all so much for hanging out today. Make sure you take care of yourselves. Make sure you take care of others. And I will see you next time. Peace out.